My name is Renee Kooiker, and I am here to share my experience with being part of a table group and my experience with the Practicing the Way. I personally loved the fact that it was multi-generational. I think it's definitely more comfortable to be in a group with people your own age and in your own walk of life. But what I found and what I appreciated and loved was, especially in the Sabbath part of Practicing the Way, was hearing different parts and pieces of Sabbath from the generation before me, but even just hearing what the people, the generation ahead of me, how their Sabbath was different as kids from mine, and then going ahead of me, the people younger than me, what their Sabbath looked like from then to now and what mine looked like. It was just so interesting to hear the difference and to hear their take on it compared to my take on it, compared to their take on it. I loved hearing the different stories and the different parts and the different pieces of all of that. It was so enlightening and so encouraging to hear from different generations. So kids certainly make it interesting, but with a multi-generational group, it's kind of inevitable. And truly, kids are kids, and kids will be there. And with groups, if you want it to be truly a fulfilling group, it will be multi-generational, and you just kind of have to be okay with the loud voices and sometimes being interrupted, or the whispers, or having kids on laps and kids watching the videos and all of that. And that's really great. Showing them and kind of being a model, showing them kind of the way of practicing the way, and being an example of what it means to kind of go back to the way that Jesus lived and what we are doing as Christians and what we are trying to implement in our lives, going back to the way that Jesus lived, I think is so important. And the really cool thing is that we implemented in our lessons to an object lesson, which was great for the little kids. It really allowed them to be a part of it, and kind of the lesson that we were learning, it kind of put it down into their level of learning and kind of gave them hands-on and kind of a visual aid for them to also learn the same way that we did, the same lesson that we learned. And that was really cool. And it really gave them a very cool opportunity to learn. There's just something about a good meal shared together. You truly become friends, and the group that we had, we all kind of knew each other beforehand, which I think is a gift, but not necessary by any means. And I think having the meal together allows you to get to know people on a different level. It allows you to catch up on the weeks that you have been apart. It allows you to open up and to chat with each other and just to kind of connect on a different level before you jump into the actual lessons. And it makes talking as a whole group or together in your triads, it just makes it a little bit easier to open up, to be the real you, to talk about maybe things that are a little bit more personal or a little bit deep. It kind of breaks the ice a little bit before you jump into the actual spiritual formation or the spiritual part of the Bible study. It's just a good marker saying, this is the beginning. This is what we're doing. This is the start of our Sabbath. This is the start of our time together. Now let's go into our practice. I loved that time. The thing about triads is that it takes a smaller group from your larger group. So we had the same triad every time. So it was the same smaller group from the big group every time that we met. And you really do form a bond with those people. I found especially in the prayer portion of the Practicing the Way, you learn to pray for each other kind of in different ways, and you share with each other, and you learn, one of the things that I learned that I really appreciated was how to do prayers of lament. That was not ever something that I really maybe knew how to do or practiced very well. And that was one thing that I was never very comfortable with. And after talking with people in my triad, it was something that I just kind of tried out. And it still is not comfortable for me, but it's something that I was kind of challenged to do by them, and it's becoming part of my prayer time, and it truly is beneficial. It's a different way to talk to God, and it just allows you to open up in a little bit different way, but with a smaller group of people. It's a little bit more intimate, not scary by any means. It's just a smaller, more intimate way to connect with the people in your group. So I know here at Ivanrest that small groups and Bible studies and that kind of thing have always been kind of scary. And coming from me too, I have never really been a part of a Bible study or small groups or Dine with Nine or anything like that. But this is truly one that has been super beneficial. And it is something that I think is very, very important. This is something that connects you back to the way that Jesus lived. Table groups in and of itself, I think, is important. You connect with other people in the church. It builds a community. It builds a relationship with people who you maybe wouldn't build relationships with. And then the practicing the way piece truly just brings you back to the life of Jesus. And it really is truly fulfilling and kind of leads you back, brings you back to living your life the way that it was meant to be lived. And it fills your heart. And what better way to do that than with the people who you worship with every Sunday? So consider it. It truly is such a gift.